Therefore, O Lord, O Supreme Controller, O Lord Krishna, please annihilate this dangerous demon Vritrasura, Swasta's son, who has already swallowed all our weapons, our paraphernalia for fighting, and our strength and influence. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 7.15-16, Namam Duskritina Mudha Prabhadyante Naradama Maya Prita Jnana Asram Bhavam Asrita Chatur Vidha Bhajante Mam Jana Sukritina Rijana Artha Jigyasu Artharti Gyanicha Paratasva. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demon, do not surrender unto me. O best among the Bharatas, Arjuna, 4 kinds of pious men render devotion service unto me: the distressed, the desirer of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the Absolute. The 4 classes of neophyte devotees who approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead to offer devotional service because of material motives are not pure devotees. But the advantage for such materialistic devotees is that they sometimes give up their material desires and become pure. When the demigods are utterly helpless, they approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead in grief and with tears in their eyes, praying to the Lord, and thus they become almost pure devotees, free from material desire. Admitting that they have forgotten pure devotional service because of extensive material opportunities, they fully surrender to the Lord, leaving to his consideration whether to maintain them or annihilate them. Such surrender is necessary. Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings, Marabi Rakabi. Marabi Rakabi. Yo Icha Tuhara. O Lord, I fully surrender unto you, unto your lotus feet. Now, as you desire, you may protect me or annihilate me. You have the full right to do either. Well, okay. Text number 45. O Lord, the Supreme Pure, you live within the core of everyone's heart and observe all the desires and activities of the conditioned souls. O Supreme Personality of Godhead, known as Lord Krishna, your reputation is bright and illuminating. You have no beginning, for you are the beginning of everything. This is understood by pure devotees because you are easily accessible to the pure and truthful. When the conditioned souls are liberated and sheltered at your lotus feet, after roving throughout the material world for many millions of years, they attain the highest success of life. Therefore, O Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, we offer our respectful obeisances at your lotus feet. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The demigods certainly wanted Lord Vishnu to relieve their anxiety, but now they directly approach Lord Krishna For although there is no difference between Lord Krishna and Lord Vishnu, Krishna descends to this planet in his Vasudeva feature for the purpose of Paritranaya Sadhunam Vinasaya Chaduskritam, protecting his devotees and annihilating the miscreants. Demons or atheists always disturb the demigods or devotees, and therefore Krishna descends to punish the atheists and demons and fulfill the desire of his devotees. Krishna being the original cause of everything, is the supreme person, above even Vishnu and Narayana. Although there is no difference between these different forms of the Lord, as explained in Brahma Samhita 5.46, departure ivahi dasantaram abhyupeta ipayate vivita hetu samana dharma yastadrik eva hicha vishnu taya vibhati govindamadipurushottam ham bhajami. Krishna expands himself as Vishnu the way a bright candle kindles another, although there is no difference between the power of one candle and another. Krishna is compared to the original candle. The word Mrista Yasase is significant herein because Krishna is always famous for relieving his devotee from danger. A devotee who has sacrificed everything for the service of Krishna and whose only source of relief is the Lord is known as Akinchana. As expressed in the prayers offered by Queen Kunti, the Lord is Akinchana Vita, the property of such a devotee. Those who are liberated from the bondage of conditioned life are elevated to the spiritual world, where they achieve 5 kinds of liberation: Sayuja, Salukya, Sarupya, Sarsti, and Samipya. Okay. They personally associate with the Lord in 5 mellows: Santa, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. These rasas are all emanations from Krishna. As described by Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura, the original mellow, Adi Rasa, is conjugal love. Krishna is the origin of pure and spiritual conjugal love. Very good purport. Okay, text 46. Sri Sukadeva Goswami continued, O King Parikshit, when the demigods offered the Lord their sincere prayers in this way, the Lord listened by his causeless mercy. Being pleased, he then replied to the demigods. Text 47. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O beloved demigods, you have offered your prayers to me with great knowledge, and I am certainly most pleased with you. A person is liberated by such knowledge, and thus he remembers my exalted position, which is above the conditions of material life. Such a devotee is fully purified by offering prayers in full knowledge. This is the source of devotional service to me. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Another name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Uttama Sloka, which means that he has offered prayers with selected verses. Bhakti means Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, chanting and hearing about Lord Vishnu. Impersonalists cannot be purified, for they do not offer personal prayers to the Supreme Personality of God. Even though they sometimes offer prayers, the prayers are not directed toward the Supreme Person. Impersonalists sometimes show their incomplete knowledge by addressing the Lord as being nameless. They always offer prayers indirectly, saying, "You are this, you are that." But they do not know to whom they are praying. A devotee, however, always offers personal prayers. A devotee says, Govindam Adi Purusham Maham Bhajam. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Govinda, unto uh, Krishna. That is the way to offer prayers. If one continues to offer such personal prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is eligible to become a pure devotee and return home back to Godhead. Text 48. O best of the intelligent demigods, although it is true that nothing is difficult for one to obtain when I am pleased with him, a pure devotee whose mind is exclusively fixed upon me does not ask me for anything but the opportunity to engage in devotional service. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. When the demigods finished offering their prayers, they anxiously waited for their enemy Vitrasura to be killed. This means that the demigods are not pure devotees. Okay. Although without difficulty one can get anything he desires if the Lord is pleased. The demigods aspire for material profit by pleasing the Lord. The Lord wanted the demigods to pray for unalloyed devotional service, but instead they prayed for an opportunity to kill their enemy. This is the difference between a pure devotee and a devotee on the material platform. Indirectly, the Lord regretted that the demigods did not ask for pure devotional service. Okay, well, that's very profound. Text 49. Those who think material assets to be everything or to be the ultimate goal of life are called misers or kripanas. They do not know the ultimate necessity of the soul. Moreover, if one awards that which is desired by such fools, he must also be considered foolish. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. There are two classes of men, namely the Kripana and the Brahmana. So Kripana are people who are very, let's say, they are not interested in being helpful. They have their own desires and they don't think about others. A Brahmana is one who knows Brahman, the absolute truth, and who thus knows the real interest. A Kripana, however, is one who has material bodily concept of life, not knowing how to utilize his human or demigod life. A Kripana is attracted by things created by the material modes of nature. The Kripanas, who always desire material benefits, are foolish, whereas Brahmanas, who are always spiritual and who are always desire spiritual benefits, are intelligent. If a Kripana is knowing his self-interest, foolishly asks for something material, one who avoids it, awards it to him, is also foolish. Krishna, however, is not a foolish person. He is supremely intelligent. If someone comes to Krishna asking for material benefits, Krishna does not award him the material things he desires. Instead, the Lord gives him intelligence so that he will forget his material desires and become attached to the Lord's lotus feet. In such cases, although the Kripana offers prayers to Lord Krishna for material things, the Lord takes away whatever material possessions the Kripana has and gives him the sense to become a devotee. As stated by the Lord in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 22.39, Ami Vishna e Murkhe Vishaya Kene Diva Sva Charana Amrita Diya Vishaya Bulaiba. Since I am very intelligent, why should I give this foolish material prosperity? This fool material prosperity. Instead, I shall induce him to take the nectar of the shelter of my lotus feet and make him forget illusory material enjoyment.
Right.
If one sincerely prays to God for material possessions in exchange for devotional service, the Lord, who is not foolish like such an unintelligent devotee, shows him special favor by taking away whatever material possessions he has and gradually giving him the intelligence to be satisfied only by rendering service to his lotus feet. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura comments in this regard that if a foolish child requests his mother to give him poison, the mother, being intelligent, will certainly not give him poison, even though he requests it. A materialist does not know that to accept material possessions means to accept poison or the repetition of birth and death. An intelligent person, a Brahmana, aspires for liberation from material bondage. That is the real self interest of a human being. Okay, that's pretty clear.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Text number 50. A pure devotee who is fully accomplished in the science of devotional service will never instruct the foolish person to engage in fruitive activity. Or material enjoyment, not to speak of helping him in such activities. Such a devotee is like an experienced physician who never encourages a patient to eat food injurious to his health, even if the patient desires it. Purports by Srila Prabhupada. Here is the difference between the benedictions awarded by the demigods and those awarded by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. Devotees of the demigods ask for benediction simply for sense gratification. And therefore, they have been described in Bhagavad Gita 7.20 as bereft of intelligence. Kamaistastar hitagyana prapadyante nyadevata tam tam niyamam astaya prakriti niyataksvaya. Those whose minds are distorted by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. Conditioned souls are generally bereft of intelligence because of profound desire for sense gratification. They do not know what benedictions to ask. Therefore, non-devotees are advised in the Shastras to worship various demigods to achieve material benefits. For example, if one wants a beautiful wife, he is advised to worship Uma. or the goddess Durga. If one wants to be cured of a disease, he is advised to worship the sun god. All requests for benedictions from the demigods, however, are due to material lust. The benedictions will be finished at the end of the cosmic manifestation, along with those who bestow them. If one approaches Lord Vishnu for benedictions, the Lord will give him a benediction that will help him return home back to Godhead. This is also confirmed by Lord Krishna, by Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita 10.10. Te sam satata yuktanam bhajatam pratipurvakam dadami buddhiyogam tam yenamam upayanti te. Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna instructs a devotee who constantly engages in his service how to approach him at the end of his material body. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 4.9, Janma karma chame divyam evam yo vetitatpata jakvadeham panarjanma naitimam eti saharjuna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. End of quote. This is the benediction of Lord Vishnu or Krishna. After giving up his body, a devotee returns home back to Godhead. A devotee may foolishly ask for material benediction, but Lord Krishna does not give him such benedictions, despite the devotee's prayers. Therefore, people who are very attached to material life do not generally become devotees of Krishna or Vishnu. Instead, they become devotees of the demigods. Kamaistai hita prapadyante niyadevata. The benedictions of the demigods, however, are condemned in Bhagavad Gita. Ankravat tu phalam te sam tad bhavati alpamedas. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. A non-Vaishnava, one who is not engaged in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is considered a fool with a small quantity of brain substance. In other words, an idiot. Text 51. O Madhavan, Indra, all good fortune unto you. I advise you to approach the exalted saint Dadyashams, Dadihansha, or Dadachi.
Yadyancham Rishi Suttama.
Dadichi, yeah, okay. He has become very accomplished in knowledge, vows, and austerities, and his body is very strong. Go ask him for his body without delay. Yeah, Dadichi is very famous because he was not attached to his body. And okay, so we're going to hear that now. Purport. Everyone in this material world, from Lord Brahma down to an ant, is eager to keep his body comfortable. A pure devotee may also be comfortable, but he is not eager for such a benediction. Since Maghavan, the king of heaven, still aspired for a comfortable bodily situation, Lord Vishnu advised him to ask Dadhyansha,
Yadyancha.
yeah, for his body, which was very strong due to his knowledge, vows, and austerity. Text 52. That saintly Dadhyansha, who is also known as Dadichi, personally assimilated the spiritual science and then delivered it to the Ashwini Kumaras. Ashwini Kumars are like,
Doctors.
uh, yeah, they're like doctors. It is said that Dadyansha gave them mantras through the head of a horse. Therefore, the mantras are called Asvasira. After obtaining the mantras of spiritual science from Dadichi, the Ashwini Kumaras became Jivan Mukta, liberated even in this life. Purport. The following story is narrated by many acharyas in their commentaries. Okay, 1 second. The great saint Dadichi had perfect knowledge of how to perform fruitive activities, and he had advanced spiritual knowledge as well. Knowing this, the Ashwini Kumaras once approached him and begged him to instruct them in spiritual science, Brahma Vidya. Dadichi Muni replied, I am now engaged in arranging sacrifices for fruitive activities. Come back sometime later when the Ashwini Kumaras left, Indra, the king of heaven, approached Dadichi and said, My dear Muni, the Ashwini Kumaras are only physicians. Please do not instruct them in spiritual science. If you impart the spiritual science to them despite my warning, I shall punish you by cutting off your head. After warning Dadichi in this way, Indra returned to heaven. The Ashwini Kumar, who understood Indra's desires, returned and begged Dadichi for Brahma Vidya. When the great saint Dadichi informed them of Indra's threat, the Ashwini Kumars replied, Let us first cut off your head and replace it with the head of a horse. You can instruct Brahma Vidya through the horse's head. And when Indra returns and cuts off that head, we shall reward you and restore you with original heads. Since Dadichi had promised to impart Brahma Vidya to the Ashwini Kumaras, he agreed to their proposal. In other words, they're going to cut off his head and put another head on it, and then later on, they're going to take that head off and put back the original head. They are excellent surgeons, let's put it like that. Since Dadichi had promised to impart Brahma Vidya to the Ashwini Kumars, he agreed to their proposal. Therefore, because Dadichi imparted Brahma Vidya through the mouth of a horse, this Brahma Vidya is also known as Asvasira. So, in ancient times, they were very expert surgeons, cutting people's heads off, putting on another head, then taking that head off and putting on the original head. That's real surgeons. Dadyansha's invincible protective covering, known as the Narayana Kavacha, was given to Twasta, who delivered it to his son Vishwarupa, from whom you have received it. Because of this, Narayana Kavacha, Dadichi's body is now very strong. You should therefore beg him for his body. Now we're going to see how much of a devotee Dadichi is. He's going to give his body. Text 54. When the Ashwini Kumars begged Dadyansha's body on your behalf, he will surely give it because of affection. Do not doubt this, for Dadyansha is very experienced in religious understanding. When Dadyansha awards you his body, Vishwakarma will prepare a thunderbolt from his bones. This thunderbolt will certainly kill Vitrasura because it will be invested with my power. Text 55. When Vitrasura is killed because of my spiritual strength, you will regain your strength, weapons, and wealth. Thus, there will be all good fortune for all of you. Hey, this is a win-win proposition here. Although Vitrasura can destroy all the three worlds, do not fear that he will harm you. He is also a devotee and will never be envious of you. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. A devotee of the Lord is never envious of anyone. What to speak of other devotees? As revealed later, Vitrasura was also a devotee. Therefore, he was not expected to be envious of the demigod. Indeed, of his own accord, he would try to benefit the demigod. A devotee does not hesitate to give up his own body for a better cause. Chanakya Pandita said, San nimite varam tyago, vinase niyate sati. After all one's material possessions, including his body, will be destroyed in due course of time. Therefore, if the body and other possessions can be utilized for a better cause, a devotee never hesitates to give up even his own body. Because Lord Vishnu wanted to save the demigods, Vitrasura, even though able to swallow the three worlds, would agree to be killed by the demigods. For a devotee, there is no difference between living and dying, because in this life, a devotee engages in devotional service, and after giving up his body, he engages in the same service in the spiritual world. His devotional service is never hindered. Wow, wonderful statement. Thus end the Bhaktivinoda purports to the 9th chapter, 6th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Appearance of the Demon Vitrasura. Chapter 10. The battle between the demigods and Vitrasura. As described in this chapter, after Indra obtained the body of Dadichi, a thunderbolt was prepared from Dadichi's bones, and a fight took place between Vitrasura and the demigods. Following the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the demigods approached Dadichi Muni and begged for his body. Dadichi Muni, just to hear from the demigods about the principles of religion, jokingly refused to relinquish his body, but for higher purposes, he thereafter agreed to give it up. For after death, the body is usually eaten by low animals, like dogs and jackals. Dadichi Muni first merged his gross body, made of 5 elements, into the original stock of 5 elements, and then engaged his soul at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, he gave up his gross body. With the help of Vishwakarma, the demigods then prepared a thunderbolt from Dadichi's bones. Armed with the thunderbolt weapon, they prepared themselves to fight and got up on the backs of elephants. At the end of Satya Yuga, and the beginning of Treta Yuga, a great fight took place between the demigods and the Asuras. Unable to tolerate the effulgence of the demigods, the Asuras fled the battle, leaving Vritrasura, their commander-in-chief, to fight for himself. Vritrasura, however, seeing the demons fleeing, instructed them in the importance of fighting and dying in the battlefield. One who is victorious in battle gains material possessions, and one who dies in the battlefield attains a residence at once in the celestial heavens. In either way, the fighter benefits. Very interesting. Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, after instructing Indra in this way, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, the cause of the cosmic manifestation, then and there disappeared from the presence of the onlooking demigods. Text 2. O King Parikshit, following the Lord's instructions, the demigods approached Dadichi, the son of Adarva. He was very liberal, and when they begged him to give them his body, he at once partially agreed. However, just to hear religious instructions from them, he smiled and jokingly spoke as follows. O elevated demigod, at the time of death, severe, unbearable pain takes away the consciousness of all living entities who have accepted material bodies. Don't you know about this pain? Text number 4. In this material world, every living entity is very much addicted to his material body, struggling to keep his body forever. Everyone tries to protect it by all means, even at the sacrifice of all his possessions. Therefore, who would be prepared to deliver his body to anyone, even if it were demanded by Lord Vishnu? Purport by Srila Prabhupada. It is said, Atmanam sarvato rakshet tato dharmam tato dhanam. One must protect his body by all means. Then he may protect his religious principles, and thereafter his possessions. This is the natural desire of all living entities. No one wants to give up his body unless it is forcibly given away, even though the demigods said that they were demanding the Dakshi's body for their benefit in accordance with the order of Lord Vishnu. The Dakshis superficially refused to give them his body. Interesting. Text number 5. The demigods replied, O exalted Brahma, pious persons like you, whose activities are praiseworthy, are very kind and affectionate to people in general. What can't such pious souls give for the benefit? They can give everything, including their bodies. Text 6. Those who are too self-interested beg something from others, not knowing of others' pain. But if the beggar knew the difficulty of the giver, he would not ask for anything. Similarly, he who is able to give charity does not know the beggar's difficulty, for otherwise he would not refuse to give the beggar a limit. Similarly, he who is able to give charity does not know the beggar's difficulty, for otherwise he would not refuse to give the beggar anything he might want as charity. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. This verse describes two people, one who gives charity and one who begs for it. A beggar should not ask charity from a person who is in difficulty. Similarly, one who is able to give charity should not deny a beggar. These are the moral instructions of the Shastra. Chanakya Pandita says, San nimite varam tyago vinase niyate sati. Everything within this material world will be destroyed, and therefore one should use everything for good purposes. If one is advanced in knowledge, he must always be prepared to sacrifice anything for a better cause. At the present moment, the entire world is in a dangerous position under the spell of a godless civilization. The Krishna consciousness movement needs many exalted, learned persons who will sacrifice their lives to revive God consciousness throughout the world. We therefore invite all men and women advanced in knowledge to join the Krishna consciousness movement and sacrifice their lives for the great cause of reviving the God consciousness of human society. Bye, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Text number 7. The great sage Dadichi said, just to hear from you about religious principles, I refuse to offer my body at your request. Now, although my body is extremely dear to me, I must give it up for your better purposes, since I know that it will leave me today or tomorrow. Yeah, so everybody's going to die. But if there's a genuine benefit of volunteering one's body, then it should be done. And that's what Dadichi's saying here. Text 8. O demigods, one who has no compassion for humanity in its suffering and does not sacrifice his impermanent body for the higher causes of religious principles or eternal glory is certainly pitied even by the immovable beings. Wow. The immovable beings, that's what trees. Purport by Srila Prabhupada, and obviously the long purport because this is very interesting. In this regard, a very exalted example was set by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavana. Concerning Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it is said in Srimad Bhagavatam 11:5-34, Trakva Sudustyaja Sureksita Raja Lakshman, and so forth. We offer our respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of the Lord, upon whom one should always meditate. He has left his household life, leaving aside his eternal consort, whom even the denizens of heaven adore. He went into the forest to deliver the fallen souls, who are put into illusion by material energy. To accept sannyasa means to commit civil suicide, but sannyasa is compulsory, at least for every brahmana, every first-class human being. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had a very young and beautiful wife, a very affectionate mother. Indeed, the affectionate dealings of his family members were so pleasing that even the demigods could not expect such happiness at home. Nevertheless, for the deliverance of all the fallen souls of the world, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyasa and left home when he was only 24 years old. He lived a very strict life as a sannyasi, refusing all bodily comforts. Similarly, his disciples, the six Goswamis, were ministers who held exalted positions in society, but they also left everything to join the movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srinivasacharya says, Chakraturnam Vasesha Mandala Pati Shreyim Sada Tuchava Bhutpadina Gane Kakao Karunaya Kaupina Kanta Asrito. These Goswamis left very comfortable lives as ministers, zamindars, and learned scholars, and joined Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement just to show mercy to the fallen souls of the world. Dina Ganesha Ko Karunaya, accepting very humble lives as mendicants, wearing no more than loincloths and torn quilts, Kopina Kanta. They lived in Vrindavana and followed Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's order to excavate Vrindavana's lost glories. Similarly, everyone else with a materially comfortable condition in this world should join the Krishna consciousness movement to elevate the fallen souls. The words Bhuta Dayaya, Maya Mrigam, Daita Yepsitam, and Dina Ganeshako Karunaya all convey the same sense. These are very significant words for those interested in elevating human society to a proper understanding of life. One should join the Krishna consciousness movement, following the examples of such great personalities as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the six Goswamis, and before them, the great sage Dadichi. Instead of wasting one's life for temporary bodily comforts, one should always be prepared to give up one's life for a better cause, for better causes. After all, the body will be destroyed. Therefore, one should sacrifice it for the glory of distributing religious principles throughout the world. Wow, wonderful statements here. Text 9. If one is unhappy to see the distress of other living beings and happy to see their happiness, his religious principles are appreciated as imperishable by exalted persons who are considered pious and benevolent. Purport. One generally follows the different types of religious principles or performs various occupational duties according to the body given to him by the modes of material nature. In this verse, however, real religious principles are explained. Everyone should be unhappy to see others in distress and happy to see others happy. Atmavat sarvabhutesu. One should feel the happiness and distress of others as his own. It is on this basis that the Buddhist religious principles of nonviolence, ahimsa paramam dharma, is established. We feel pain when someone disturbs us, and therefore we should not inflict pain upon other living beings. Lord Buddha's mission was to stop unnecessary animal killing, and therefore he preached that the greatest religious principle is non-violence. One cannot continue killing animals at the same time, be a religious man. That is the greatest hypocrisy. Jesus Christ said, "Do not kill." But hypocrites nevertheless maintain thousands of slaughterhouses while posing as Christians. Yeah, Christians are still killing massively animals and eating them. Such hypocrisy is condemned in this verse. One should be happy to see others happy, and one should be unhappy to see others unhappy. This is the principle to be followed. Unfortunately, at the present moment, so-called philanthropists and humanitarians advocate the happiness of humanity at the cost of the lives of poor animals. That is not recommended herein. This verse clearly says that one should be compassionate to all living entities, regardless of whether human, animal, tree, or plant. All living entities are sons of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 14.4, Sarvayoni Sukonteya Murtaya Sambhavanti Vaya Tasam Brahma Mahadyonir Aham Bija Pradapita. It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving Father. The different forms of these living entities are only their external dresses. Every living being is actually a spirit soul, a part and parcel of God. Therefore, one should not favor only one kind of living being. A Vaishnava sees all living entities as part and parcel of God. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 5:18 and 18.54, Vidya Sampane Brahmane Gavihastini Sunichaiva Swapake Cha Pandita Samadarshina. The humble sage, by virtue of true knowledge, sees with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater for outcasts. Brahmabhuta prasanatma nasachate na kankshati samaksarve subhute su madbhaktim labhate param. One who is transcendently situated at once realizes the supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed to every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. A Vaishnava, therefore, is truly a perfect person because he laments to see others unhappy and feels joy at seeing others happy. A Vaishnava is Paradukha Dukhi. He is always unhappy to see the conditioned souls in an unhappy state of materialism. Therefore, a Vaishnava is always busy preaching Krishna consciousness throughout the world. Text number 10. This body, which is eatable by jackals and dogs after death, does not actually do any good for me, the spirit soul. It is usable only for a short time. and may perish at any moment. The body and its possessions, its riches and relatives must all be engaged for the benefit of others, or else they will be sources of tribulation and misery. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Similar advice is also given in Srimad Bhagavatam 10.22.35. Etavaj janma saphalyam dehinam ida dehisu. Pranayar arthar diavacha shreya acharanam sada. It is the duty of every living being to perform welfare activities for the benefit of others with his life, wealth, intelligence, and words. This is the mission of life. One's own body and the bodies of his friends and relatives are, as well as one's own riches and everything else one has, should be engaged for the benefit of others. This is the mission of Sri Chaitanya Maharaj, as stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi 9.41. Bharata Bhumite Haila Manusya Janmayar Janmasartaka Karikara Bhara Vipakara. One who has taken birth as a human being in the land of India, Bharatvarsa, should make his life successful and work for the benefit of all other people. Wonderful statement. The word upakuryat means para upakara, helping others. Of course, in human society, there are many institutions to help others, but because philanthropists do not know how to help others, their propensity for philanthropy is ineffectual. They do not know the ultimate goal of life, Shreya Acharam, which is to please the Supreme Lord. If all philanthropic and humanitarian activities were directed toward achieving the ultimate goal of life, to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they would all be perfect. Humanitarian work without Krishna is nothing. Krishna must be brought. Krishna must be brought to the center of all our activities. Otherwise, no activity will have value. Okay, very emphatic. Now, let's say, very emphatic warning. Text 11. What time is it now?
Yeah, it's 7:35.
Oh, so we're over time.
We're just past the time, yeah.
All right, why don't we stop right there, because the next verse is a long one.
Sure.
Okay, my dear devotees, are there any questions or comments? This is a very, let's say, very serious, question here. Is a human being ready to sacrifice their life to help someone else? Well, here is that's exactly what this is about. That the Dachi, yeah, is willing to sacrifice his life to help someone else. Very interesting.
the thunderbolt was made from his bones.
Yeah. But obviously it was for a real good purpose.
Yes.
Yeah, and then Prabhupada writes here, he says, a Vaishnava is paraduka dukhi. He is always unhappy to see the conditioned souls in an unhappy state of materialism. Therefore, a Vaishnava is always busy preaching Krishna consciousness throughout the world. Yeah, so para dukkha dukhi is always unhappy to see the conditioned souls in an unhappy state of materialism. Well, yeah, that's a fact. That's why we go out and we distribute prasadam. That's why we are helping people by distributing modified Vedic books like Bhagavad Gita. That's why we are distributing prasadam. We are also, along with the prasadam, giving pamphlets or books about Krishna consciousness. That's why we have festivals. And we invite people to come to the festivals and have nice prasadam and hear lectures given by devotees. And our takeaway for today is the following. One should join the Krishna consciousness movement. This is Canto 6, Chapter 10, text number 8. One should join the Krishna consciousness movement, following the examples of such great personalities as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the six Goswamis, and before them, the great sage Dadachi. Instead of wasting one's life for temporary bodily comforts, one should always be prepared to give up one's life for a better cause. After all, the body will be destroyed. Therefore, one should sacrifice it for the glory of distributing religious principles throughout the world.
So that's what Prabhupada did.
Yeah, that's what he did.
In spite of heart attacks, no
Yes,
food,
he had
nothing.
two plus heart attacks,
Mhm.
and no doctor, no
So-
hospital.
So the current applicability is use your body in the service of Krishna. Obviously, Indra is not going to come and ask for our body. So it's our.
That's pretty extreme. Well, if the body is going to be used in the service of Krishna, that is, and that's exactly what Prabhupada is doing. He went around the world and convinced young boys and girls to use their body in the service of Krishna. He didn't ask them, "I need your body to, I need to kill your body to use the bones for some other reason." He never asked anything like that, but he did want to use the body of the devotees to advance Krishna consciousness. And the devotees accepted to use their bodies according to Prabhupada's instructions to advance Krishna consciousness and help society become Krishna conscious. And therefore it says here, one should join the Krishna consciousness movement following the examples of such great personalities as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the six Goswamis, and before them, the great sage Dadachi. Instead of wasting one's life for temporary bodily comforts, one should always be prepared to give up one's life for better causes. After all, the body will be destroyed. Therefore, one should sacrifice it for the glory of distributing religious principles throughout the world. All right, now, is Prabhupada here trying to convince us to give up our body? Or is he trying to convince us to use our body in the service of Krishna? So someone could misinterpret this and think that, well, we should all commit suicide, that's Prabhupada's trying to say. No. Prabhupada's trying to say, look, use your body instead of for sense gratification, use it for serving Krishna and serving humanity by spreading Krishna consciousness. That's the message here. So therefore he says, one should join the Krishna consciousness movement, following the examples of such great personalities as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the six Goswamis, and before them the great sage Dadaji. Well, Lord Chaitanya did not commit suicide, nor did the six Goswamis, nor did Gadachi. Instead of wasting one's life for temporary bodily comforts, one should always be prepared to give up one's life for better causes. So how do you give up one's life for better causes? By using it in the service of Krishna, not by jumping off a bridge or burning yourself purposely. No, it's not saying to do anything crazy like that. He's saying that instead of wasting one's life for temporary bodily comforts, one should always be prepared to give up one's life for better causes. When he says give up one's life, what he means is give up sense gratification and use your life for better causes, such as becoming Krishna conscious. After all, the body will be destroyed, therefore one should sacrifice it for the glory of distributing religious principles throughout the world. Well, there it is. And what he's saying is we should use our body to spread Krishna consciousness. That is the glory of distributing religious principles throughout the world. Not committing suicide, not burning the body, but using the body in the service of Krishna. Okay, my dear devotees, that means that we should always be engaged in devotional service and helping people become Krishna conscious, not burning the body or jumping off a bridge or anything like that. Okay, are there any questions? Or comments? So, yeah.
No, I just wanted to see if any questions or comments online.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Haribol Prabhu.
Guru Maharaj, I think this topic just triggered some thoughts, and just wondering, how some of these other philosophies are convincing people take terrorism, put the bombs on, and blast themselves. We heard the stories of terrorists coming to India and blasting themselves, and so many attacks were like this. So I was just triggering those thoughts. What is this philosophy making people behave like that?
Oh, that's demoniac. The Muslims are convincing young boys, young men, to put the bombs on a strap around their belly, and cover it with clothing, and go out and blow themselves up in public and indiscriminately kill people. that's like complete demonic behavior. But one thing you have to give the Muslims some benefit, because they're able to convince a young person to sacrifice their body. In other words, they're good preachers, not for the right purpose, but they preach in such a way that they can convince a young man to strap a bomb around his belly and hide it with some clothing and go out where there's a lot of people and blow themselves up. That means that they're really good preachers, but for the wrong purpose, of course.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Actually, same thoughts. They were able to convince, maybe it could be the philosophy or the preachers. They were able to make even take the suicide. For us, we always try hard, take the name of God, and we struggle with it.
It would be better to convince young men and women, like Prabhupada did, to sacrifice their bodies and time to help other people become Krishna conscious, not blowing themselves up, but by using their body to spread the message of Lord Chaitanya. So that is also, in other words, using the body, but for a good purpose, not for blowing up that body, but for using the body and the intelligence of a person for spreading Krishna consciousness. That makes more sense. The other thing, convincing someone to blow their body up and killing other people, that doesn't make sense at all. It doesn't really help anyone. If anything, it's demoniac. And if anything, it is waste of potential of a person. But to convince a person to dedicate their body and life to spread Krishna consciousness, which is what Prabhupada did, that makes sense. That is not wasting a person's life. That is actually convincing a person to use their life for the benefit of helping others. That makes more sense.
Yeah, Guru Maharaj, also the countries building big armies, should it be considered as a demonic or should it be considered as dharma?
There are situations where going to war is right. For example, the Pandavas, they went to war because of the intransigence of the what you would call disrespectful and absolutely absolute in absolute desire to fight of the Kurus. They didn't. They wanted to fight. They didn't care about what the consequences are. So in that condition, Pandavas had to fight, and it was a terrible fight, and so many people died. And actually, no enemies of the Pandavas were alive after the fight. So there's so many people died, but it was a proper war, because the Pandavas were trying to protect the principles of Dharma, and the Kurus were against that. They wanted to commit on adharmic activities. So there are instances where war is necessary. If someone says, "Oh, well, I'm a nonviolent person, I'm not going to go to war," that's nonsense. there was this one man in the, I think it's First World War. He was a what was he called? Anyway, he refused to get a gun and shoot, but he did not refuse to join the army as a medical guy that would, help people, help the soldiers who were injured. And this man, he was a what is he called? He was a pacifist, and he refused to get a gun and shoot, and join the army and get a gun and shoot. But he did join the army. But he became a medic, and he saved the lives of many soldiers by risking his life to pick up wounded soldiers, even behind the enemy lines, risking his life and save them by bringing them to safety and getting them to a hospital for, healing their wounds. So he, although was a pacifist, he still joined the army, and he saved the lives, I think, about 80 or 90 or 100 men by risking his life going behind enemy lines to help soldiers who were, shot and they didn't die, but they were going to die. And he saved them by going behind enemy lines and bringing them back to safety and to a hospital. So, although he was a pacifist and he refused to have a gun, but he still joined the army and became a medic. And he would save people's lives by putting himself in harm's way to help soldiers who were, wounded, even behind enemy lines. That means that he was a very, very merciful person who was always putting himself in harm's way to help others. I forget what his name was, but he became very famous in World War One because he saved the lives of many soldiers. But he refused to have a gun, and he refused to fight in battle. But he did not refuse to help soldiers who were wounded, even behind enemy lines, and to save their lives by putting his life in jeopardy. So some people say that they are pacifists, and they refuse to join the army and fight. Well, this man was a pacifist, but he did not refuse to join the army. But his service in the army was to be a medic and to go even behind the enemy lines and help wounded soldiers and bring them to safety. So he became famous, although he was considered, although he was a pacifist, he refused to touch a gun and refused to kill anyone. But he saved the lives of many people. Okay, thank you very much, my dear devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. I forget the name of that guy that did that. He became very famous. It was in World War One. He saved, I don't know, 80, 90, 100 people.
Yeah, there was a,
Huh?
I think there was even a movie.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Forgot the name.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's about 8 o'clock, so we'll end the session here.